Trust is one of the most valuable commodities in the world. Without it, the computers and devices we rely on simply cannot operate. This podcast delves inside the concept of trusted computing, looking at the ways standards and specifications can keep you safe from attackers.
My name is Thorsten Stremlau, and I'd like to welcome you back to the Inside Trusted Computing podcast from the Trusted Computing Group. Today, I am joined by Rick Martinez, who is TCG's vice president and a very, very long time contributor to the secure computing standards with deep roots in the evolution of network security. Hey, Rick.
Hey, Thorsten. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to dig into this one. There's a lot of interesting history to cover, and it's been a wild ride.
Oh, it certainly has. So Rick, let's look back at some of those early days, and I was part of that as well. So before the internet, when computing security meant locking a room, so what did the world look like?
Well, it was all physical because that's what we knew based on kind of the existing paradigms of security, right? Doors and locks. You had mainframes and secure facilities, and user interacted with these mainframes using terminals that were essentially hardwired to them. There was no remote access, no need for encryption. It was just guards and keys, right? But that changed really, really fast with ARPANET and the birth of the internet, and really just the exponential evolution of interconnected communications, where we are today.
Yeah, it definitely changed things. And then, came the web and Wi-Fi and whole new attack surfaces.
Exactly. So the expanded connectivity and the install base meant more attack surface. So more users meant more targets. And by the late 90s, we were already dealing with viruses and worms and evolving malware, including the first examples of ransomware. These threats were so persistent and so common. And that's when we really realized that we needed to build trust into the hardware itself. We could no longer rely on, detection and remediation through the operating system and through software.
Yeah, I actually remember that really, really well. I caught my first virus on an IBM PC all the way back when. It was transferred through the floppy disk, the 5.25-inch floppy disk. It was incredible. So let's talk about the TCG. Where did that all begin then?
So it started with a pretty simple idea, right? We wanted to replace the smart card with something cheaper and more integrated into the device. So IBM and a few others at that time collaborated on making this real. And this was known at that time as the TCPA, or the Trusted Computing Platform Alliance. So they proposed embedding a standards-based security chip directly onto system motherboards. As they defined it, that chip could store keys, it could remeasure and report on system integrity, and then ultimately provide a hardware root of trust for those systems.
And so that became the TPM as we know it today?
That's exactly right. So the TPM 1.2, and that's where I came involved, had incredible adoption and success in the PC industry, and that laid the groundwork. And it really showed the value of this type of device and the adoption in the industry. As an aside, like I said, it also launched more than one security career, including my own. But with TPM 1.2 as our base, we really hit the ground running with TPM 2.0, and now it's in billions of devices. So laptops, servers, network equipment, even IoT devices in your home. It's the foundation for other features built on top of it, like Secure Boot, BitLocker, and Remote Attestation.
It is very, very prevalent. So do you have any surprise use cases or, use cases that would be out of the ordinary that you could describe?
Oh, there's plenty. We've seen TPMs in washing machines, right? One manufacturer actually used them to protect some of their subscription services for commercial washing machines that the dry cleaners use, right? So very big business and very, huge need to protect those services and protect that business model for them. And TPM was there to make that happen. And Thorsten, I know this is more your area, but there's also incredible interest I've seen in trusted computing in the satellite industry as well.
Yeah, so we can truly say that the TPM is evolving to go out of this world, I guess. And all right, so let's go a little bit deeper. So what are some of the key technologies that TCG has developed beyond the TPM?
Sure. I'll talk about a few that I'm intimately familiar with. So the first one I'll talk about is platform certificates. So platform certificates have been developed over the last several years and really got widespread adoption in the PC industry over the last few years. So these can be used to record a device's identity and configuration at the time of manufacture. I like to call it here in my with my teams as kind of like snapping the chalk line in your factory, right? Think of it as more of a digital birth certificate that can be verified at a later point in time in a customer environment. So that's been hugely successful, applies directly to supply chain security. Another one, up and coming is DICE. Now, this one we haven't seen as publicly, mentioned and lauded as the TPM, but it's definitely there, right? And it was originally developed as a lightweight identity framework for IoT devices, but it's expanded well beyond that at this point. It's really, in my opinion, perfect for constrained environments, like individual components on a motherboard, for example. So great technology, continuing to see adoption. We may not see a lot of, again, marketing splash as far as companies, talking about DICE, but it's there, in a lot of devices that we use every day. If we go more to the infrastructure side, right, one of the ones I like to call out is the TNC, or Trusted Network Communications. And this really ensures endpoint compliance when granting network access between devices. And as you probably know, Thorsten, this is a key principle of zero trust network architectures as well. So that's how it plays into some of those solutions that are prevalent today in the industry. I'll round it out here, with the last one, and there are many more. This is just an example from my perspective and experience, and that's cyber resilience. So these specifications really help devices recover from attacks at the lowest levels. They allow manufacturers and implementers the ability to maintain system integrity even when something goes wrong, right? So that, protect, detect, recover, remediate is all built into that cyber resilience capability that we publish.
And all of these are part of a broader security architecture for solutions and right?
Of course, that's the idea, right? Our long-term goal is protecting customers and protecting users, and that requires adoption, right? So that means integrating into solutions that are up and coming and that customers are actually using. Many of the specifications that I talked about earlier, right, are components of supply chain security. Some, as I mentioned, contribute directly to zero trust architecture and zero trust outcomes and principles. And one great example, right, if we go top to bottom, right, is the TPM, providing the root of trust, using DICE for handling things like component identity and attestation, and then using platform certificates for verification of that component integrity when those systems appear at customers' loading docks. And there's so many other TCG related technologies that go into securing the overall communications when these devices are in use. They're in your infrastructure, in your enterprise, or in your home. So together, overall, this really creates opportunities to build resilient and attestable systems.
That is really, really comprehensive. So, Rick, from your perspective, what would you say is next for TCG and trusted computing? What was your point of view on that?
Well, like many in the computer security industry, we are really preparing for a post-quantum cryptography right now, or PQC. I think PQC is top of mind for many security practitioners and customers. And the majority of our TCG specs are going to need to be updated to support the new PQC algorithms. So we want to have ultimately TPMs that meet PQC requirements as defined by, some upcoming regulations across the world. In the US, the US is kind of leading this charge as far as documenting some of those requirements and timelines, but we're seeing interest, globally from other governments as well. Now, getting there is easier said than done, right? Especially if you look at all the dependencies needed to address to make this happen. It's extensive, not only within TCG, but also externally. And a lot of these external dependencies are things that we have to solve from a TCG standpoint to make progress here. But we've shifted left and we've connected the dots to make sure that we understand these external dependencies, and we're starting the connection and the evolution process to take the pen to our own specs and make sure that we have the information that we need. We have the support across TCG and TCG member contributors and companies so that we can ultimately, again, contribute to the products in the industry that will need to support PQC algorithms. So as you can probably imagine, it's a lot of work, but we're making amazing progress. And I think really that is a big part of the value of a cross-industry organization like TCG, right? Everybody's working towards the same goal. We have our target in PQC. We have some timelines and roadmaps at a high level from our government liaisons and customers. And I love the direction that we're headed.
Yeah, it is exciting. It is really, really exciting on this one. And Rick, earlier on, you mentioned something that's actually very near and dear to my heart as well, which is securing the supply chain. Are there any specific areas, I guess, of focus there for TCG?
Oh, of course. Supply chain security is a huge priority for TCG. So we've talked about the platform certificates, right, as being that digital birth certificate that's verifiable at customer site. We're already moving forward and evolving that platform certificate to include new types of data and attributes that customers want to see in that manifest. And again, all of this data and attributes can be verified and attested at the customer site as part of the platform certificate overall solution and specification. Plus, if you look at newer specifications like TCG RIM or Reference Integrity Manifest, these specs can help document the system firmware and the configuration to level even beyond what we can do today with the platform certificate. So very excited about that. And I think that's going to be a huge step in going even deeper in the system with attestation and again, the ability to verify that and provide solutions to end customers built on TCG technologies that help them trust their systems in their network. So the very powerful capabilities in flight. And looking forward to when we can share more about that. But again, I think our role in our charter here is to continue to build these capabilities that can increase trust from design to manufacturing all the way to the field for our customers.
Very, very cool. Thanks. Thank you so much, Rick. Do you have, any final thoughts on what we just discussed?
Yeah, as you've probably seen with things like the TPM, right? Trusted computing is becoming ubiquitous. I think what that tells me and what that should convey is that trusted computing is no longer optional, right? It's a foundational and critical component of our digital and now physical lives, right? So I think whether you're talking about a PC notebook, if you're talking about a car, a smart thermostat, users expect this level of security in every device that they interact with. And I think, TCG is well positioned to help that, and the specs that we drive, the specs that we define, and the solutions that we can support, I think is a huge head start for these secure solutions in the industry.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Rick. That was really, really comprehensive and really, really good. Thanks for the insights. Just quickly to those listening, we'll have a next episode, and then in that episode we're going to dig into all of the different standards and specifications that the TCG is working with to shape the future of secure computing the way that Rick described it, right? From TPM to DICE and some of the things that Rick spoke about, then also moving into some other technologies. So thank you again, Rick.
Thanks for having me.
And until then, everyone, stay secure and keep trusting your technology.